Hello, Goalpreneurs. Thank you so much for tuning in to another bonus episode. And today I am joined by a very special guest, Nigel Romany, Coach Romany, as he is known. And he is author of Be Different, Be Great, The Process to Personal Greatness. And you can get this book on Amazon. I will also link it up into the show notes. And Nigel, thank you so much, Coach. Coach, I'm going to call you Coach.
I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for being here. And I would like to hear about you, your journey. Tell my audience how you've been in the coaching industry for over 20 years. Is that
Over
correct?
20 years now, yes.
Gosh.
And it's interesting how it starts. It always starts with the kids.
Oh, yeah.
When I look back on it, my oldest decided to play soccer. So we went out to the practice and there was no coach there. So I just ended up jumping into it. And from soccer, it grew to basketball. And I just fell in love with the sport. I've always watched sports. I grew up playing hockey and different sports. So I've always been involved in the sports. I've always thought the game. So coaching just seemed to be a natural thing. And then when I started coaching the kids, I just started really just enjoying it. And I felt the passion for it. And it's just something I say, yeah, I like doing this. I like helping the kids. And it just became a natural progression for me. And throughout the years, I ended up switching careers from the financial sector to the teaching sector. And they just seem to go hand in hand because even when I was in the financial sector, I was still servicing clients and educating them. And then I move into the teaching field, which is really just coaching all day anyways. And coaching a sport allowed me to bring so much more to to the kids, to the players, because there's so much to be learned from playing sports and so much to be taught from playing sports. The lessons you can learn from perseverance to hard work, resiliency. I can go on about the benefits of kids in sports, and I wanted to continue to be a part of that. And helping people is just seemed to be in my nature. I like this. I think I inherited it from my parents. Dad was a teacher, mom was a nurse, and dad from Trinidad. Used to coach hockey. The
Your
man couldn't
dad did?
skate.
Your dad was a
My
hockey
dad,
coach?
my dad was a hockey coach,
Okay.
and my dad could not skate. My dad was on the ice with boots,
Okay.
but he was still coaching. He ended up becoming the president of the Hockey Association. Man never played a day in his life, but it was just that's who he was, and it just gravitated to me as well. Just being involved in the kids' sports and just continuing it on. As the kids got older, I kept coaching. I coached boys for a while, even though I have girls. And then probably about 4, 5, 6 years ago, the girls got too old for dad as a coach. I coached one until she was 18. Then I
Okay.
moved down to the other ones. So I took on a whole new team, and it's one of the best experiences as a coach because I had 0 kids on the team. So I got to coach 12 new daughters, 12 new daughters of mine that I adopted through the coaching aspect. And just watching them grow, because I was with them during a key part of their lives from grade 6 to grade 10 and through COVID as well. So we stuck together through COVID. I didn't write about this in the book, but during COVID, I wanted to make sure we were still in touch with each other. So that's when I introduced them to Zoom. We used to have weekly Zoom calls throughout the season, even though we weren't playing. I wanted the girls to stay in touch with each other, and we were going to stay in touch. So we would have Zoom calls throughout the COVID season just to keep in touch and keep their mental aspect on the game going. And I just became involved in their lives. I went to I go to their graduations. I watch them play other sports. I watch them even when they're not on my team. I still go watch them play. That's just how involved you get as a coach sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
So just it's who I am. It's what I do. And I'm also a teacher, so that allows me to really teach the game, teach life to these kids. anywhere. Right now, my girls are 14-year-old that I'm coaching. But when I look back on, I think I reflect. When I was in teachers college, I was a mature student because I was 30 something. I can't remember how old, but there were still kids coming out of school, and they were referring to me as coach because I had that life experience behind me. So I was even able to help them coach them even at that age. So I became coach. And when I started my next journey, my health journey, I started posting about it on Instagram and TikTok, and people started calling me coach at the gym. Even though I didn't coach them, I was just inspiring them.
Yeah.
So coaching's really who I am. And when I had to make a brand name, we said, let's go Coach Romany. That's what they call you anyways, Dad. So that's my coaching career.
I think
It's
that's amazing. I mean, once a coach, always a coach.
always a coach, yes. I
Always.
always tell my players that once I'm your coach, I'm like, whether I have you for one season or one game, in that matter, I've had kids for one, brought them up for one. I said, I'm always your coach. I will talk to them. If I've coached you once, and I'm at your game, I'm going to talk to you after the game.
Yeah.
I'll give you tips. I'll encourage you, but I'm always going to be your coach. So
I think that's amazing. And especially with the kids at that you said the youngest group that you were coaching is what, sixth grade?
right
Sixth?
now I'm coaching six, but I've coached as young as 10-year-olds, 7-year-olds, I should say.
Okay.
I've coached from 7 to 17, but right now I'm
Okay.
coaching grade eights.
I mean, that's like a core part of their life. You're getting in
Yes.
at the foundation and you're able to teach them the basics and get that solid foundation, which you talked about in your book, getting that solid foundation, because then growing up, you're just going to keep compounding on that throughout life. And those habits that you're instilling in these kids at such a young age, it's going to serve them the rest of their life.
Yeah,
That's amazing.
I've already seen that. Like two of my favorite, I got a lot of favorites, but when I look at the hardest workers, who were the hardest workers on the court, I look at what they do when they're off, when they're not playing basketball. They're the hardest workers I know.
Hmm.
My one favorite, we call her Shaq. She would work 2, 3 jobs in the summertime because that's just who she was. Now we called her Shaq because she was the shortest player on the floor, but she
Okay.
was the toughest player on the floor. And so she ended up becoming one of my daughter's best friends, and my other daughter, we're like family now. But she was the hardest worker on the floor. She wasn't the best talented, but she was the hardest worker. And I look at her afterwards because my daughter stay in touch with her. Actually went to her house this weekend. Um, but she was working 2, 3 jobs in the summertime to get herself through school and to pay for things.
Hmm.
Those are the same attributes I saw when she was playing. So it all translates and relates to life as well.
Yeah, yeah. So in our intro call earlier last week, you had mentioned that being a teacher, um, and I think you also talked about this in your book, but being a teacher, being a coach, you see each kid as individual
Absolutely, yeah.
instead of, I have a group of kids, this is where I want you, this is what we have to do. You see the kids as individuals and you pick out their unique strengths and you hold that child accountable to their level of greatness.
Yeah, and that's really what it's all about, in my opinion. In that, first of all, the teaching world can talk about differentiation, but to me, it's really about individualization and having them do their own level of success. I'm not sure if I talked about in the book or not, but what I would get, yeah, I did. I gave my kids off-season training.
Mhm.
So it made no sense. I wrote in the book that it's no sense to have my 6'4" center practicing 3-pointers. She's hitting it through this year while I watched her play. But her work was down underneath the net. And my guards were working on their dribbling and their passing. So I would gear their workouts to them. Just like when I do in practice, I break them up into groups and they work on different skills. They work on them all, but they focus on different skills.
Mm-hmm.
And I bring that into the classroom as well because every student is going to be different. I have one. I'm proud of them all. But the one girl, she's like number one in the world for an online math contest she did last month. So I treat her as different than everybody else because one, when we do math on the board to start the class off, she's checking my work. So I'll do the work and I'll turn around and say, is this right? And she'll let me know if I'm right or I'm wrong. And then when the class starts its lesson, I give her different sheets of work. Usually a grade, minimum a grade, sometimes 2 or 3 grades up, above.
Okay.
So she's working on that while I'm teaching the other kids the grade level math. So she gets to work on that. And what I found, I didn't tell her this, but I've noticed the last couple of weeks, she's been helping the girl beside her with her math. Because I happened to put her beside another not as strong child.
Mm-hmm.
Put that on purpose. I didn't realize it was going to turn out so well. But she's actually, I can see her teaching her the same lesson that I taught her, that I taught the class, but she's helping her. And I didn't tell her to. She's just doing that. And to me, that's like, wow, that's rewarding to me when you get these kids helping each other
Right.
and learning from each other, because sometimes they learn best from each other. So I give her different tasks. At the same time, I'm going to have that one girl she's helping. She's going to be held to a different level, but she's still going to be held accountable. So
Mm-hmm.
when I circulate the room, I'm looking at different people's work and I'm assessing them based upon what they're capable of. I use math as an example. Some have to use the calculator all the time. I've had kids in grade 11, I've told them to use the calculator all the time because it's about achieving your own level. And I always, always strive to my players and my students. Find your own level of success. Because the moment you start judging your success based upon what someone else does, you're already setting up not to succeed. But if you set up your own level of success, you are going to be successful. I'll use my child again. When she was younger, she was hitting shots from outside, like basketball terms, from 15 feet away all the time. And I would see other girls practicing that and say, no, you get 5 feet from the net. You practice shooting from 5 feet. My kid's going to shoot from that because she's just crazy. And she was sinking them. But the other girls I had shoot from 5 feet so they would be successful. And that's where you want them to be. My job is to put them in a position of success.
Mm-hmm.
Put them in a position where they're going to be successful. Not going to be like everybody else, but they're going to define their own level of success. For some students, it's writing that 5-page paragraph excellently. I had other students who just get them to write 3 sentences. It's a success. But they're both successful in my mind because they've achieved that. Every subject I do, I try to make sure that's the case. This year, I'm not going to single people out, but I got one guy in there. He had some stuff when he was younger, so he couldn't do a lot of the physical stuff. So I didn't push him. I talked to him. I found out why he wasn't doing as much as I asked him in class. And he told me why. Sat down with the parents. They told me why. I said, okay, that's okay. We're going to modify it for you. I want you to do what you think you're capable of doing. Not what I ask you to do, what you think you're capable of doing. And man, this guy is going above and beyond what I am asking. Because unfortunately for my students, I got into my fitness journey, so I don't do dodgeball. To all you teachers out there, I don't do dodgeball. My kids are mad at me. I haven't done dodgeball in like 5 years. We do fitness classes sometimes. I'm a skill-based coach, so we don't even play basketball games. We do skills. But I will do a fitness circuit every once or twice a month. where we do burpees, lunges, squats, the whole 9 yards.
Oh, burpees. The worst exercise ever.
Squats or burpees?
Burpees.
Oh, I hate them too. That's why I make them do them. I make him do lunges because I hate lunges too. But he did lunges around the schoolyard one time. At the beginning of the year, he wasn't doing anything. Dude's getting an A in phys ed this semester. Not because he's the most athletic, but because he participates. And that's the top of his level.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I'm assessing these people on. I'm not assessing them on whether they can sink a 3-point shot. I'm assessing them on how much do you listen? How much do you take instructions? Because those are the things that are going to help you further in life.
Yeah.
The ability to think.
Yep.
The ability to take instructions. The ability to try new things. That's what going to make these kids successful.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So let's go back a little bit. You were talking about holding each person accountable to their level of success and meeting them there. How, excuse me. So you went through your own transformation, weight loss.
Yes.
How did that go? Talk about that.
How did that go? That started because of mom and dad. Mom got sick. I won't make it long. Mom got sick. I took care of her for 4 months during COVID. Dad got sick right afterwards. Dementia. Took care of him for a year during COVID. When they both passed, my daughter said, "You got to take care of yourself, Dad." So I started taking care of myself. 6'1", 296 pounds. Now, throughout the years, I'd gone up and down, mostly up, not so much down. And I said, I got to dedicate myself to really taking care of yourself. So I met with a trainer who also happened to be a fellow teacher. And I said to her specifically, I'm not your friend, I'm your client. So she taught me how to eat properly, how to train properly, and what I needed to do. So she gave me the pathway to get it done because I was aware that I needed to change. I accepted the fact I needed to change, but I was also willing to accept the help. So when I got started, it wasn't easy. I remember my first leg day where I couldn't sit down for 2 days because I couldn't bend down.
Yeah.
But that's when I really started to realize how important your mindset is. I've always talked about growth mindset to my players and my students. But going through this, I got to live what it means to have a truly growth mindset and what it means to be resilient. Because there were some days I just didn't feel like getting up at first and getting up and going and getting it done. But then it turned from having to get it done to must get it done. My to-do list was no longer existent. It was a must-do list. So going to the gym is something I must do. It's not something I have to do. It's something I must do. But more importantly, I started looking at it as the opportunity to do it. I started looking at it, this is an opportunity for me to get better today, for me to keep pushing. So when I'm pushing through that last set, it's an opportunity to grow, an opportunity to get better. When you're tired, and you only want to do 20 minutes of cardio instead of 30, it's an opportunity to keep going. And that's really where I started to say, something's different here. You got to be different to do better. And as I'm going through all that, I'm looking around outside of the gym because the gym we're all dedicated. But I'm looking at the malls, people outside. I'm thinking, man, so many of us are settling for being unfit. And I don't want to be like that. And me going to the gym was just something different from what everybody else was doing. And I started thinking, well, you know what? You got to be different to be great. Sometimes you got to be a little bit different. I read my books, I do my studying, and you look at the people like Walt Disney, Bill Gates, people who have changed our world. Like, where would it be without Walt Disney? We would be like totally different world without Walt.
Yeah.
Totally, we would be without Michael and Kobe and all the great athletes we know. It's because they were willing to do something different than everybody else. They were
Yeah.
willing to work harder.
Yeah. Yeah. You in chapter 7, you said at the beginning of each chapter, you have a nice quote. Confucius, it said, when it is obvious that the goals cannot be reached, don't adjust the goals, adjust the action steps.
Oh yeah,
So that one gives me goosebumps because in our minds, it's like, okay, we set a goal. We have a hard time getting there, or maybe it just seems so far off. We adjust our goals instead of keeping it and adjusting the steps to get there. Maybe instead of going from A to C, we put that B in there, just a smaller micro goal to get us to that step. And then that jump from the next, from step 1 to step 2 to step 3 doesn't seem as big. But I really, when I was reading that quote last night, I was in the hockey rink too, so I could have been cold, but that one struck a chord. It struck a chord with me because I know I'm totally guilty of that, adjusting my goal instead of the steps. It's like, oh no, okay, I need to bring that goal down a little bit, even though I really want to hit that. I'm just going to bring it down a little bit. So you hearing me say that, you're probably thinking she's not living up to her perfect level of greatness.
not yet, but
She's
I
downplaying it.
not yet. But we also have to remember that we have to celebrate the small victories along the way.
Yes.
We have to celebrate the small victories along the way and look back and think about what we've done and how far we have come. Celebrate those successes, then reassess your actions. So
Mm-hmm.
celebrate success, then reassess your actions. So maybe you have to change the way you're doing things. Maybe because you're not eating them from a weight point of view. My protein, I need to adjust the amount of protein I ate because I was no longer going. I didn't need 230 grams. I only need 200 grams because my weight is structured, and my calories are different because my weight is structured. I'm not eating the same at 260 from 296 to 260. I'm not eating the same at 260 as I am at 220 because my goal is still to drop, but I have to change. I have to change my actions. So I got to adjust my actions. Same thing with I'll go basketball because that's what we do. We still want to be able to break the press, so to speak. Just had practice last night again, and we're just making some adjustments to our systems, to our press breaks. We're not changing the whole system. We're just making some adjustments to it because we realize it's not as effective as it needs to be, but we can change it a little bit without throwing it out the window. We're just making adjustments to it. I'll let you know how it goes on Saturday, but um, I believe that those changes are made throughout the year. My teams and my students don't start with the same system throughout the year. We're adjusting it throughout the year. Just
Mm-hmm.
like when you're training for a marathon. I'm not even going to go marathon training because I don't run that much. But you have to change the way you train every once in a while also. So you got to keep the adjustment going. That's where the accountability comes into play as well.
Yeah, I was just looking at that in chapter 8. You have a really great chapter about accountability. Because if you don't have anybody else holding you accountable, it's so easy to slip up,
It
to let
is.
things slide.
Yeah, it's
But
okay to slip up, but it's not okay to continually slip up. Like in the chapter where I talk about this was a heartfelt situation to me because I love this girl. I love the team so much. I thought I was doing them the right thing by wanting to get them a W, get them a win. And what happened, just for your listeners out there, is I have 10 or 11 girls on my team, but we all can't play at once. Everybody gets, everybody plays every game for me. That's just my rule. but not everybody plays the same amount of time. And this one game, I played one girl way too much because I thought she was the answer to getting our W's. And I neglected to play two other girls who should have been playing more. And one of the parents called me on it. He said, "What are you doing? You're ruining this girl's confidence." And I said, "Thank you. I'll take a look at it." And I was fortunate that I film all my games. Last year I did, I'm not doing this year. And so it keeps track of my minutes. And I looked at it and I was completely shocked at what I had done. I was shocked. I was ashamed. I was embarrassed. So first thing I did was I got a hold of these people and I said, "I'm sorry." I talked to the team and I said, "Coach had his head up his backside. He stopped coaching for the reasons that he talks about." I said, "It's never going to happen again." So I talked to the team. Then I talked to the two girls who didn't play as much as they should have played. And I poured my heart out to them. I said, "I am so sorry." And they said, "Coach, we got you. We forgive you." I talked to the third girl who played way too much. I said, "I put too much expectations on you. You were just too tired." So what happened? 3 weeks later, we played that same team. Everybody played. The two girls who didn't play as much, they were key factors in us winning that game. Because they had the confidence. I gave them back their confidence. Mm-hmm. And the other girl, her legs were fresher.
Yeah.
So, but it's only because that one parent, I still thank her to this day, she held me accountable. And I said to my team, "Yeah, I was wrong. I was wrong." And they said, "We got you, coach." But if I would have just ignored it, I didn't have to talk about it. I could have just said, "Thanks, I'll fix it later," and not tell them. But I told them up front. Mm-hmm. They said, "Thank you, coach." And those girls have my back.
I think it's amazing somebody in your role can acknowledge the mistake or the downfall, and downfall is maybe not the right word, but the mistake, can acknowledge it and can be honest and say, "Yeah, that I was completely in the wrong. Here's what I'm going to do better," like to turn the situation around. I think that's amazing. And not every coach would do that. But that also makes you a really great coach for personal development and for helping others to acknowledge the mistakes, say, "Here's how we can work on that and get better and turn the situation around."
Absolutely. That's why ball is life, because everything is just basketball and life are so related, but personal development it's really become a part of who I am and helping people. And the reason why I say be different, be great is everybody has their own level. And I got to keep stressing that, because someone asked me in another podcast the other day, what's your level? What's your definition of next level? And I say, that depends upon the person. That all depends upon the person. Because yes, we all need to exercise, and I can preach about the benefits of exercise. But for some people, just going out for a walk, just getting up, reading a book, listening, or just doing something outside of work. I don't know. I was watching Suits the other day. I watched Suits for an hour before I go to bed.
Good show.
And Katrina in episode season 8 or whatever, her big thing was spending the day outside of work. Not totally on work. So sometimes you just got to find that little thing that's for you. Because everybody's going to have something different. I got 4 daughters. They all played basketball at one point. 3 excelled. 1 went into the dramatic arts section. So I listen to Broadway hits when I drive her around town. And that's awesome. And what makes me... Oh, okay, I got a funny story about her. She's going to get mad at me. She's coaching basketball.
Is she really?
Yeah, she only played 2 or 3 years, and she then moved into the arts.
Okay.
but she's an educational assistant. So this year at school, she's coaching the basketball team. So
That's
proud of her.
awesome. Yes, yes. That is amazing. Well, she had a good coach. She had a good
Uh,
upbringing and
yeah.
teacher.
And my eldest is coaching with me. She was the one who was really, she got us all started. So my eldest coaches with me. So she's the second one, but I never thought she would be coaching the basketball. But that's what it means. They're all different, but that's what makes them all great. Is they don't try to be like the other one. And that's what I admire about my daughters.
So the non-negotiables that you were talking about, is that the chopping wood, carrying the water?
Yes, non-negotiables in life.
Okay.
Non-negotiables for success. To give our listeners a quick reference to that, it's the old Zen story that a bunch of monks, well, not a bunch of monks, a village of monks, they had everything they needed except for running water and electricity. So they would have to go down and chop their own wood every day and bring up the water from the well for survival. So that's how they survived every day, was chopping wood and carrying water. Those became my essentials of my life. What are my foundations for my personal growth? So my chopping wood is exercising, cardio and resistance. My carrying wood is eating properly. I have to do those things to survive every day. From a basketball team, every year is different. One year is ball movement and defense. Actually, not so much defense, but pressure defense. What are our two things that are going to be the fundamentals of your life? So everybody has to find what their wood is and what their water is. Because for my personal growth, I exercise and eat right every day. Everything else falls into place. I'm the best I can be when I'm doing those two things on a daily basis consistently, no matter what else goes on in my life. I'm chopping my wood and carrying my water.
Yeah, yeah. And that plays into the part of the 5 a.m. club.
Yes, I wasn't there as much as I wanted to be,
Okay.
but I'll get back there next. I'm not going to promise I'm going to get back to it, but that changed my life for about 3 months because I was up every morning just getting it done, and it freed up so much more time in my day. I also had to go to bed at 9 and 10 o'clock. So
Yeah.
basketball, I'll be honest with you, basketball practice got into that because we were practicing until 9 and 10.
Oh gosh.
But the 5 a.m. club, that's the best. If you have the opportunity to join a 5 a.m. club, do it. Do it. Go to bed at 9 or 10. It's tough. It's tough.
Yeah.
It's tough, but it's worth it because it's a great start to the day. My trainer, I used to joke with her that she does more stuff at 9 a.m. before the army does, before most people do in a day. Because
Yeah.
I'll give her a shout out. She's a mom now, so when she goes back to school, but she was up at 4 o'clock training clients. She trained 3 or 4 clients before school.
Oh my gosh.
Go teach all day.
Jeez.
Train herself from 4 to 5, and train 2 or 3 more clients at the evening.
Yeah.
So
I
she's
mean, we all have 24 hours in a day.
yeah.
Kobe Bryant or Wayne Gretzky do not have extra hours
Nope.
in the day. They have 24, just like you and I. But it's how you schedule your time
Yes.
that's going to create the success.
Absolutely.
So I applaud you. When I read that you were part of the 5 a.m. club, good for him. Good for Coach. I am a Rise with the Sun. I'm part of that club. So in the summer, I do get up at, whenever the sun rises. So what, 5:15,
Yeah.
5:30. And I will say, excuse me, I will say during the summer, I am super productive.
Yeah.
I get so much done in the morning before anybody else gets up. I'm able to spend time in devotionals and in my study, and then I check emails and then read personal development. So I have that time for myself. And then the rest of the day, I kind of say it's like dominoes. They just kind of fall into place.
Yes. Absolutely.
But as the fall and winter come upon us, then it's
A little bit harder.
a little bit tougher, yeah, to be motivated. But remembering your why, like for
Yes.
you and your why, it was the weight loss. You wanted to drop the weight. You wanted to be healthier, be a good role model. So remembering your why is so important on those tough days. And then you're holding yourself accountable too.
Yeah. Yeah. The why is so important. Like, why do you do this? Yeah, I do it because I want to be better, but I also want to be that inspiration for the people around me, the people who are watching my video, my TikTok and my social media, for my players and my students. And I can feel okay pushing them, asking them to do something, knowing that I've done it myself.
Yeah. Yep. So
And
important.
there's just much more authenticity to it
Hmm.
when I say, you guys, hard work pays off. When they've seen that, I don't have to say hard work pays off. Look at me, because they can already see it. They already
Yeah.
see that hard work pays off.
So, out of all of your years, was there one student or one person that you've coached that just blew your mind? Where you saw, if you can remember back that far, you saw where they were coming from and your years of coaching them. It's like, holy cow, I am so beyond proud of you.
Oh yeah, I am beyond proud of a lot of my players. So for me to single one out, it's hard for me to single one out
Yeah.
because I've been blessed with a lot of really great young ladies and young gentlemen who I've coached along the way, and just seeing them become productive members. Not just on the basketball court, but I got one who's going to be, I got a former player who's going to be a lawyer or work for CIS. She hasn't decided yet. One's going to be agricultural. I got an artist. I got a couple nurses in the emergency room. I got a couple teachers out there. They just keep giving back, and they're great people. And they talk to me and they say, "Hey, coach, how you doing?" And they still write to me and send me notes once in a while. Former students are saying, former students who are teaching now. Oh yeah, actually, I got one of them sitting in my building right now, teaching with me.
No.
Right. So they call me the GOAT because I've been teaching and coaching that long.
Yeah.
So those are the things but they're good people, right? So that's what makes me proud, is that they're good people who have went after what they wanted to do. Like, yeah, I got a couple nurses out there. I got like the one I went to the house, Shack. She's an emergency nurse. Fantastic. Super proud of that kid. Super proud of Shack. I got another girl who's gonna be killing it in Division One basketball in about 2 or 3 years. So yeah, I got a lot of on the court, off the court, in the classroom, out of the classroom. It's just watching them grow up. Like I say, I'm fortunate that I teach and coach in my hometown, so I get to see them on a regular basis. But seeing them come into my school as teachers, that's wow.
That's full circle.
That's a
That's
wow.
amazing. So, I'm just trying to think how to pose this question because, it's easy to talk about the success. It's easier to say than do. And that's where mindset comes in. Full believer in that. um, but what is it about people that you've seen throughout your years? What is it about people that you have your successful ones and then the ones that struggle, and it's like chugging along? They'll get there, but they're chugging along. What is the difference? Is it skill?
I wouldn't even
Success
say
can
it's
come
skill. I
really
would say it's
easy.
perseverance and keeping with it and believing in yourself. Even as I was growing up, quick story about the president of the Philadelphia Flyers. He was not always the best hockey player. He went to junior B, junior C. He played years in the NHL, but he had great hands. But he kept with it. He kept with the grit, and he took care of himself, and he believed in himself and did the right things. I grew up with other hockey players who could skate as smooth as silk, but their off the rink activities was a detriment to them. The ones I've seen who have been successful and continue to be successful are the ones who believe in themselves, who realize that they can be successful, but more importantly, they realize their sport is not their sole definition of who they are. You can be a great basketball player and a great person. You can be a great person and an okay basketball player, but as long as you're a great person,
Yeah.
as long as you keep going, and you'll find your field, your definition of success if you stick with it. Like, the saddest thing for some of these kids is when they retire or they're forced to retire from a sport that they've played for the last 16 years of their lives. And I just reach out to them and I say, it's okay. The characteristics you bring on the court, on the ice, those are the things that are going to make a difference as you go further. Your ability, it's amazing their ability to time manage. The former players that I watch, their ability to time manage and set priorities because they realize what was important to them. It may no longer be that sport, but it's going to be their job. They're going to realize time management is going to be there. We're all not going to be in the NHL or the NBA, but the lessons we learn from sports are going to help you be successful on your own level,
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
I think that's so great. And the book can be found on Amazon. It's Be Different, Be Great. Um, it's what, 10 chapters?
yeah, it's not a biggie.
Chapters and 35 pages. It's a quick read, but there is so much in here. Like, it's, I wouldn't call it, I wouldn't say there's any fluff in here. You're getting
That,
to the guts of what needs to be talked about. Here are the steps. Here's what's going to make you different from every other average Joe. Here's what's going to make you great. And you've those little nuggets of wisdom. They're all in the book. No fluff. It's just you're getting to the core of the message.
yeah,
I can appreciate that. I love that. I
thank
like
you.
books that are written like that because I don't need to hear stories. I don't need to hear about, this and that. I want to know what's in your mind. I want to know what's in your head. I want to know how you achieve success. I want to know your framework, your steps. Give me that. Give me that all day. Cuz then I can start applying that to my own life and get to my level of greatness.
Thank you very much.
I think that's just absolutely amazing. Um, and so you've been a coach. You're a father of what? 4 girls?
4 beautiful girls.
4 girls. You are now a pop. I think
Pops,
that's so
she's
cute.
almost 2, and I got another one due in June. So,
Oh, congratulations. That's amazing. You've been with your married for over 30 years.
yeah.
You have a lot going on. And couple that with taking care of your parents. Your mother was diagnosed with liver cancer. Was that
Liver
correct?
cancer, yeah. She
What
fought
was
breast
it?
cancer, then liver cancer.
Gosh. And then your dad with dementia
Yeah.
and then Alzheimer's.
Yes.
And then him passing. Like, somebody would look at all of that and be like, oh my gosh, how did that just like not drain you or knock you down? What would your answer to that be?
I just kept going. And it actually revitalized me. It was just a strength that mom and dad just brought me up to do what needed to be done. So taking care of mom and dad was never a question for me. It's just, I'm here, you're there,
Yeah.
I'm gonna get done, and that's what we did.
Yeah.
and I wasn't going to lay back, and I got to keep the legacy going.
Mm-hmm. Yep, they have since passed, both of them.
Yeah.
But the character that they instilled in you, that it made you who you are today. All of those struggles, the challenges, what your own weight loss challenges and struggles, your transformation journey, it all brought you to this point. So
Yes.
you could be that coach for other people and to say, look here's what happened to me. This is how my life was. And this is what I'm doing now. This is the level that I'm at. You can have that too.
Yes.
I think you're just a wonderful person, a wonderful man. Really appreciated talking to you during our intro call. And you just have this like vibrancy, this light about you. And when you're talking about coaching and being there for the kids and being that strong foundation and helping them to develop that character and those skills that are going to travel with them through life, I could just see your face light up. Like
Thank you.
I can tell that like you absolutely love what you do.
Oh, I do. I absolutely do. Yeah.
I think that's amazing. So tell my audience where they can find you, your book. I'm going to put that in the show notes. I'm going to put the link for that. Do you have a website? What's your social media? And all of that I'll go in the show notes as well.
Okay. Yeah. It's Coach Romany, Coach Romany, Roma, Roma. Let me try that. Coach Romany, CoachRomany.ca. Coach Romany is all my social media: Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn. All Coach Romany.
Awesome. All right. And then, one other question. So, outside of students, are you doing any coaching outside of that, like with adult groups?
Right now, no. My focus has been on the teens.
Okay.
My focus has been, I'll be
That's
honest, my focus has been
great.
on teens. I
Yeah.
will do it, but my focus is on the teens. Anywhere from when I get to the high schools, when I start speaking in high schools and elementary schools, my focus is on teens. They need me.
Hmm. Yeah. That's where
Adults need me too,
God
but
placed you.
kids need me.
Yeah. Yes, they do. Awesome. Well, Coach, it was a pleasure to talk to you. And I am going to finish this book and I will be going through with my highlighter again because I missed it yesterday. But so many valuable nuggets of information in this book. It was
Thank you
just
so much.
amazing. And I do think this is a book that needs to be in every kid that plays sports in their hands. Like every sports team should have a copy of this book. It should be required. And I thought about that last night at my son's hockey practice. Like, I need to give our coach this book and he will be all about it. And then start implementing that for the next season.
That would be appreciated very much. Yes.
So I think that's absolutely amazing. The work that you're doing, so important. And I don't know how much of my listeners work with kids, but a lot of what you said, I can apply that to my life. My
Yeah.
audience can apply it to their life. So mindset is key. We've already established that.
Yes.
You have got to have a good, positive, healthy mindset. A mindset that's not going to give up. You need to persevere. You need to remember your why and know your non-negotiables. Chop the wood, carry the water.
Yes.
I think that's amazing. I love that. Coach, it was so nice to have you on. Are there any other little last minute nuggets of wisdom that you'd like to share with us?
No, just go out there and be the best damn you can be.
Yes. Yes, I love that. All right. Thank you so much for joining us, and we will talk again soon.
Thanks, Courtney.
Thanks, Coach.